Okay. So Moses. So when we talk about Moses, what are the things that come to your mind? Ten Commandments. Okay, yes. Ten Commandments. Red Sea. Yes. Okay. Baby in the basket. Okay. Okay, so there are so many significant things that we remember in the life of Moses, and it's good that we talk about them now. Okay. Um, okay, so we ended in the last class with Joseph. No? Namatay na si Joseph. He was very much favored by the Pharaoh. Okay, so much so that the his family, no, Jacob and the 12 tribes of Israel, were given a special land wherein they will live. Okay? So, ang ganda po nung ending nung Genesis. It ended with Genesis. Now we're in the new chapter. We're starting Exodus. So in Exodus 1, it says that Joseph and all the brothers of Joseph were already gone. No? Patay na po. And a lot of time had already transpired. And there came the new king who didn't know anything about Joseph. And so during his time, what was very present was the oppression of Israel in Egypt. No, they were subjected to forced labor. They were dealt with ruthlessly. No, and then even Pharaoh ordered two midwives, to kill male Hebrews. Okay, so since yung midwives are God fearing, they did not kill the male Hebrews. And then when asked by the Pharaoh, they said, mga Israelites po, very strong, no? So they are born even without our help. Okay? So, ang ginawa naman ng Pharaoh, knowing that that happened, he said, every Hebrew boy that is born, you must throw into the Nile, that's a river, but let every girl live. So, yun na po ang uh, kinumand niya, that every male Hebrew will be thrown into the Nile. So yan po yung atmosphere, yan po yung situation when when Moses was born. So, and I read, now Exodus 2 na po tayo. Now, a man of the tribe of Levi married a Levite woman, and she became pregnant and gave birth to a son. When she saw that he was a fine child, she hid him for 3 months. But when she could hide him no longer, she got a papyrus basket for him and coated it with the tar and pitch. Then she placed the child in it and put it among the reeds along the bank of the Nile. His sister stood at a distance to see what would happen to him. So they put him in a basket, no? Ito po yung sister ni Moses, no? And then ito yung mommy ni Moses. So they just left the basket there, no? But of course, the sister followed where the basket went, okay? And what happened? The Pharaoh's daughter went down to the Nile to bathe, and her attendants were walking along the river bank. She saw the basket among the reeds and sent her female slave to get it. She opened it and saw that the baby, he was crying, and she felt sorry for him. This is one of the Hebrew babies, she said. So she knows, not the command of the Pharaoh, that these male Hebrews should be thrown to the water. No? Husto yung daughter niya mismo ang nakakita sa baby Moses. Then, the sister of Moses asked Pharaoh's daughter, shall I go and get one of the Hebrew women to nurse the baby for you? She said, yes, go. So the girl went and got the baby's mother. Pharaoh's daughter said to her, take this baby and nurse him for me, and I will pay you. So the woman took the baby and nursed him. When the child grew older, she took him to Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. She named him Moses, saying, I drew him out of the water. You see, yung po mga pangalan na binibigay, usually it has significance. And precisely, Moses means drawing out of the water. Okay. So as we read these words, it's good to listen with this idea, no, na this is part of the divine plan. No, this child has a mission. Okay, and so he was spared. He was not killed like many other Hebrew sons who were killed during that time, and no less than the daughter of Pharaoh who discovered Moses. Yan, part po yan ng divine plan, no? So, one day, so Moses grew as an Egyptian, even if by birth he was a Hebrew. Okay? So, one day after Moses had grown up, he went out to where his own people were, and watched them at their hard labor. So nakita niya, inaapi yung kanyang mga countrymen, no? Yung mga Hebrews like him. Okay? So, what did he do? Naawa siya, of course, no? And then, he saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew, one of his own people. So even if he grew up as an Egyptian, his heart is still for his kapwa Israelites, no? And so what did he do? Looking this way and that, seeing no one, he killed the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. So, nakapatay po ng tao. Pumatay si Moses at ang pinatay niya ay as isang Egyptian. And thinking that everything happened in secret. Okay? But the following day, what happened? He saw two Hebrews fighting each other. And he said, why are you fighting each other? No, like you are brothers. And one of the Hebrew man said, why are you also intending to kill us as you kill the Egyptians? So doon na realize ni Moses na everyone knows what he did. No? Wala nang secret. And when Pharaoh learned about this, he wanted to kill Moses. So yung uncle niya, no, kasi adopted son siya ng lolo, no, yung foster lolo niya, no, wanted to kill him upon learning that he killed an Egyptian. So what did he do? Of course, he fled from Pharaoh. Moses fled to Midian, no, and married Zipporah, daughter of Reuel. Okay. So I read, during that long period, the king of Egypt died. The Israelites groaned in their slavery and cried out, and their cry for help because of their slavery went up to God. God heard their groaning, and he remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob. So God looked on the Israelites and was concerned about them. So Moses escaped, went to Midian, eventually married Zipporah, and then many years had passed. And then the king of Egypt that he knew already died. Okay. And the situation of the Israelites even worsened. Okay. They were taken as slaves, no? And they were really crying out to God. What is noteworthy here is this, and I quote, he remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob. Remember when we were taking the class about Abraham, God made a covenant with Abraham, and God said that that covenant will continue to his descendants. And that happened as well with Isaac and also with Jacob. Okay, kaya you see, na-mention lagi yung name ni Abraham, Isaac, at Jacob. No, this is very relevant. Okay, so God heard the groanings, the cries of the Israelites. Okay, Now, nasa Exodus 3, it's all about the burning bush, which we are all familiar with. And I quote, "Now Moses was tending the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the far side of the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of God, Horeb. There the angel of the Lord appeared to him in flames of fire from within a bush. Moses saw that through though the bush was on fire, it did not burn up. So Moses thought, I will go over and see this strange sight, why the bush does not burn up." So this it describes now what he saw. Okay, he was amazed that the bush was on fire, but it was not burnt up. So hindi siya na uupos, hindi siya nako-consume ng fire. So that's what he saw, and then he approached the fire, no? The burning bush. Dito po nag-start yung conversation between Moses and God. So medyo dramatic itong episode na to. And now, so nag-usap po sila, and then this is the dialogue. "And now the cry of the Israelites has reached me, and I have seen the way the Egyptians are oppressing them. So now go, I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt." But Moses said to God, "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt?" Okay. And God said, "I will be with you, and this will be the sign to you that it is I who have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you will worship God on this mountain." Okay. So understandable, no, that the reaction of Moses is that of self-doubt, because he said, "Who am I nga naman?" Remember, he came from Egypt, and the Pharaoh who just died was actually intending to kill him. Okay. And then many years have already passed. He was already a bit old. Okay. And he's a Hebrew. So to go to Pharaoh, the powerful man, and claim, no, that all the Israelites should be set free would be like really such a big task, no? Meaning it really require a lot of miracles to make that happen. Okay. But our Lord assured him. So this is the chapter wherein Moses was asked by God, no, to go to Pharaoh to bring the Israelites out of Egypt. So very daunting yung role na binibigay niya ni God kay Moses. So hindi lang po first question niya to. Marami pong question si Moses as they were speaking, no? Here. So sabi ni Moses, "Okay, if I go to the Pharaoh and they ask me, who is this Lord? Who is this God? What is his name? What will I tell him?" So God said to Moses, "I am who am." This is what you are to say to the Israelites. "I am has sent me to you." Say to the Israelites, "The Lord, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, has sent me to you. This is my name forever, the name you shall call me from generation to generations." Okay, so kung isipin nyo to look at, to consider the name that God used, I am. I am who I am. Now, medyo mysterious yung name na yon. Kung isipin nyo, anong sabihin nun? Of course, now fast forward, no? Through philosophy, this was being explained, no? Kasi nga naman, when you say, "I am a carpenter," okay? You're saying that maybe you're not, you don't have the other profession. You're not a doctor. No, you are a carpenter. Okay? So you put limit to who you are. Example, if I say I'm a woman, then I'm saying I'm not a man. Okay? If I say I'm a Filipino, then I'm saying I'm not the other nationalities. So I put a limit to myself. I'm only a Filipino, not an American, not an Argentinian, not not a Spaniard, okay? But when you say, I am who am, you're not putting any limit to your being. Why? Because precisely, God is who I am. He is the fullness of being. He is the perfect being in which there is no limitations or or bounds. Walang limits po eh. Kaya this is really the proper name. I am who am. Okay? And then take note again, no? The Lord said, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. You have to remember, I mean, to take note that among the Israelites, they passed their stories from one generation after the other. Okay? So, yung mga yung mga descendants, they would hear the story of Abraham and how God showed his mercy to Abraham. Ganun po rin kay Isaac, ganun po rin kay Jacob. That's why when he wanted to introduce himself to these people, he said, yung God ni Abraham, remember the story? Yung God ni Isaac at yung God ni Jacob, ako yon. Okay? The Lord, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, God of Isaac, and God of Jacob, has sent me to you. So when this is said to the Israelites, they understand what that means. You have to understand that during their time, marami pong gods. Okay? Because the pagans, the other nations, other than the Israelites, they have so many gods. But the Israelites had only one God, and that is the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. And they know that God had given them the promise, no? The promise of his special predilection, of his covenant. Remember, the covenant was between God and the Israelites through the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So this was God's plan. It was so during this conversation, God set the plan. Ito yung plano natin. Ito yung gagawin natin, no? He said, "Go assemble the elders of Israel and say to them, the Lord, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob." Ito na naman, no? So he had to talk to the elders of Israel. Kasi yung po, yung pag sinabing elders, yan po yung mga boss, mga people to which, people in authority to which the Israelites would listen. Okay? Kaya una, i-assemble mo muna yung elders of Israel. Okay? And he said that the elders of Israel will listen to you. So inassure niya na si Moses that he will be well received. Then you and the elders are to go to the king of Egypt and say to him, the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, has met with us. Let us take a 3-day journey into the wilderness to offer sacrifices to the Lord our God. So, temporary lang, 3 days lang. Yun yung gustong i-present ni God. Yung people ko, I want them to go to the wilderness at least for 3 days, no? To offer sacrifice, so to worship Him. And then God said, "But I know that the king of Egypt will not let you unless a mighty hand compels him. So I will stretch out my hand and strike the Egyptians with all the wonders that I will perform among them. After that, he will let you go." So he was already telling Moses what is about to happen. Okay. Then the Lord said to him, so before that, no, you can see si Moses, ang daming doubts, no? Kasi, okay, you are the one, but how will it happen? Meaning, paano ko paniniwalaan ng Pharaoh? And then, on the part of God, nagpakitang gilas, no? Nagpakitang gilas si God. He said, then the Lord said, "What is in your hand?" "A staff." He replied. The Lord said, "Throw it on the ground." Moses threw it on the ground and it became a snake, and he ran from it. Natakot si Moses. Then the Lord said to him, "Reach out your hand and take it by the tail." So Moses reached out and took the hold of the snake, and it turned out into a staff in his hand. So God had to show him miracles right and there and then to assure him that what he's asking of him was possible. Tapos yung may second miracle pa, sabi niya, oh, put your hand in your pocket, no? And then it became leprous, meaning naging very white. And then sabi niya, oh, ilabas mo. And then ibalik mo. And then it turned normal. So God was giving him a sample of miracles to assure him na what God had planned will happen because God is powerful. So you can see here the patience of God, no? God is so patient, no? Eto pa, hindi pa natapos si Moses. Sabi niya, Moses said to the Lord, pardon your servant, Lord. I have never been eloquent, neither in the past nor since you have spoken to your servant. I am slow of speech and tongue. So ayan, no? Nakafocus si Moses sa kanyang limitations. Okay? Then the Lord's anger burned against Moses, and he said, nagalit na si our Lord, what about your brother Aaron, the Levites? I know he can speak well. He is already on his way to meet you, and he will be glad to see you. You shall speak to him and put words in his mouth. I will help both of you speak and will tell you what to do. He will speak to the people for you, and it will be as if he were your mouth and as if he were God to him. But take his staff in your hands so you can perform the signs with us. Okay. So, medyo na-frustrate yata si our Lord. Sabi niya, o sige, merong kang brother. Okay? So, yung brother mo ang magiging spokesman mo. Okay? And then, he will, he will, I will help both of you speak and will teach you what to do. And then he even told that, but take this stuff in your hand so you can perform the signs with it. Okay. So this must be a very long conversation kasi hindi ko na binabasa lahat no? So ang daming assurance na God had to do to 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 encourage, not to give courage to Moses and face Pharaoh. Okay. Finally, si Moses with Aaron had an audience with Pharaoh. Okay? At sa umpisa pa lang, nahirapan na magsalita si Moses. And so Aaron was truly his spokesman. Okay? Okay. So what happened? What transpired in that conversation, in that audience? Well, Moses was faithful to what God commanded him. He asked Pharaoh to allow the Israelites to get out of Egypt in order to go to the wilderness. But as predicted by God, Pharaoh would not allow that, of course. No? So, nagpakitang gilas naman si Moses sa Pharaoh. So, he brought down the staff and then it turned into a snake in front of Pharaoh. But the magician of Pharaoh can also perform such magic. Okay? So, nag-appear naman yung two snakes ng magician. So, sabi ni Pharaoh, you see, my magician can also do that. Well, what happened? The snake of Moses struck the snake of the Egyptians, caused by the magic. So natalo yung snake ng mga Egyptians. Okay? So again, no, a way to show the power, no, through Moses, but the power of God. Okay? But of course, that was not enough to change the heart of the Pharaoh. So another time naman, the Pharaoh was about to take a bath in the pool. And again, Moses reiterated the wish of God to set free the Israelites. Of course, hindi pumayag si Pharaoh. And then Moses said, okay, then I will turn the water into blood. So that's what happened. The water of the pool turned into blood. Okay? So that's the plague of the floods. So these are the 7 plagues that happened in order to convince Pharaoh of the power of God and eventually soften his heart to free the Israelites. So there was the plague of blood, yun nga po, yung pool naging blood, the plague of frogs. So ito pong plague of frogs, don't think that, may konting frogs and nakakatakot. No, there were so many frogs, no? And they died and there was a heap of frogs everywhere. Now you cannot imagine, no? Kadiri. No? Aside from that, a plague of gnats. So yung gnats na realize ko, ano po yun? Mosquitoes. So ang dami pong mosquitoes. And then the plague of flies naman, no? So ang dami-dami pong flies. And then the plague of boils. Kahit po yung Pharaoh naka-boil sa mukha, sa katawan. And then the plague of livestock. Ayan po, nagkamatay-matay po yung kanilang mga cattle. Okay? And then nagkaroon po rin ng plague of hails, no? Yung big snow na parang stone na, no? It was raining hails, no? So hails po. So you cannot imagine siguro nagkabukol-bukol na yung mga Israelites. So this was one after the other. After the other. Yung pong Pharaoh, akala nyo, no? At one point, nag-give in na. Pero he could not perhaps imagine Egypt without the Israelites. Because remember, the Israelites were their slaves. What will happen to the Egyptians pag wala na silang slaves? Okay? So, he could not do that. Napakadami pong mga Israelites. No? I forgot to tell you that at the beginning of Exodus, sinabi that the sons of Israel were multiplied like anything. They multiplied like anything to the extent that the king actually dreaded the Israelites, thinking that if one day they side with their enemies, wow, kawawa po ang Egyptians. That's the reason why he persecuted them and made them slaves.